Hiya, Paul the Hairy Woodcarver here with another video. This carve was inspired by the humble coffee scoop. This is the one that I done years ago, a really early carve that I did, and we use it every day as our coffee scoop. So I was using it the other day, and I put a little hook on it so you can hang it on the side of the jar. And then I kind of thought, well, I wonder if I could carve something with a curve in it that actually represented something. So I went on the Tinterweb and I found that. So I thought, well, I think I can probably replicate something similar to that. So that's what this carve turned into, really. So I've done another coffee scoop using sycamore wood. I've got some blanks here. This is air dried stuff that we dried several years back. And I was going to try and do that and see how close I could get to it. I wanted to do a little bit of painting on this one as well, just the actual leg itself, and then to somehow join it onto the bowl to make it look as natural as an eagle's toe on a coffee scoop's going to look, I guess. Anyway, enough waffling, let's get on with the carve. So in typical hairy woodcarver style, the sun shone, I went outside, started carving, and didn't record anything till this point. So I finally started recording. We went back in the workshop and I started on the scales on the shaft here. And just a note on the tool use here, it's I tend to find the right size gouge or whatever it is for the piece I'm working on, and it just makes it so much tidier. I've tried and tried with different tools and blades and stuff, but if you find the right size gouge or chisel or whatever it is, the finish you get is just so much better. It sounds fairly obvious, but some people are advocates for just using like a single knife all the way through the carving. And I'm definitely one for finding the tool for the right curve or the shape that you're actually trying to create, and the tool does the work for you then, and actually the finish is just so much better. I've had to speed some of this up now. It was quite a long carve. I guess in, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours, something like that. And obviously when I first done the video it was like 2.5 hours long, so I've had to shorten it considerably. I didn't want to take too much out, so I've sped some of it up. Hopefully you can still see what I'm doing. So I've moved over to trying to tidy up the sides now and bring it into those scales, which is obviously quite small. So I've picked up the my little 2 cherries chip carving knife. You'll see me using this one a lot. You just get favourites, don't you? And if I've got something small, I'll quite often pick this knife up. It's just got a really fine blade on it, so it cuts in nice and tight. There was quite a lot of resketching in the scales here. I was adjusting the levels down and stuff. I had that picture up off screen, so I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted it to look like, but I had to be a little bit creative as I got down towards the bowl, obviously. But yeah, it seemed to work. So again, this is the point I was making earlier with the gouges that fit the curve. So this is one of my flex cut mini palm chisels. It's actually the biggest one of those, but it fit this these curves nicely. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's the curve's going to be what your chisel is. So yeah, that kind of dictates what it's going to be like. I've done some really nice Celtic knots on jewellery and stuff using this technique, and the finish you can get is really, really good, especially using those little mini palm chisels. I've got some micro ones there, so you can go pretty small and still get a really, really even curve, and yeah, nice rope-like look to it. Little toothbrush again. Trusty old 2 cherries knives out again, just tidying up those edges. So you still need to use the detail knife to finish it off around the edges and the little bits that you've missed, but yeah. So this knife that I'm using now, I use these quite a lot. This is a one of Flex Cut. I think they call them a Pelican knife. I've got 2 sizes. I've got this one and a bigger one, but it's got a really thin diameter blade on it, so you can go around really sharp corners with it. It's also with the curve in the back, it's kind of nice for pushing your thumb in behind it. But anything that I've got to do that's like this, and you've got to get around some tight bends and stuff, I tend to grab those Pelican knives. I've obviously thought here that I can get a nicer line on the edge there. Move your finger out of the way. Does look like I'm cutting towards my finger there, and actually at some points I am, but if you check my other thumb out, it's actually holding the chisel back, so it is controlled. It's not I wouldn't cut towards myself if it was wasn't controlled like that. So you see that Pelican knife there working, getting right into that corner. Yeah, they're lovely. It's interesting actually, when you get a new tool, it opens up another, I wouldn't say another skill, but it certainly enables you to do some things that you may not have been able to do before, so it's quite cool. Claire reaching in and stealing one of my chisels there, did you see that? So I'm working in here on the where these I don't know what you call them, roots I suppose, coming out of the leg of the eagle's foot. I kind of didn't know what else to do there, but it seemed like the right thing to do. And yeah, so this is kind of trying to round the bowl around so it looks like that these roots or legs or fingers, if you like, are kind of wrapping around the actual bowl. There's that little dentist chisel that we talked about in the last video. This was somebody asked me about it on the video, and I actually looked into it. It's got some markings on it. Turns out it was a dentist's plaque removal tool, and I ground the hook off of the end and turned it into a chisel. But it's absolutely magic for doing tight stuff like this. It's just over 1 millimetre wide and razor sharp as well, because it's like a good quality stainless steel. So yeah, it's a lot of the fine stuff I do, I don't think I'll be able to do without something like that, so that's definitely worth an investment. There we go, back with that curve tool again, getting that profile. It's definitely one of those things as well, the more that you practice that, what I'm doing now, the more natural it becomes. You still got to remember about grain and direction and things like that, but it's yeah, you can get some really nice finishes like this. Definitely worth a play. And obviously the grain direction changed a little bit there, so I flipped back the other way. Found one of my micro, those micro palm chisels from Flex Cup got in there lovely. That's a V tool getting in just underneath there, and it kind of laid a little bit of a shadow underneath and separated it from the bowl, just a touch, just enough to lay a shadow under it and make it look like it's two separate things. It's just very tight in here. Out come the pelican knife again, just to get in there and tidy that up. Notice my chair's not squeaking in this video. The last video I did, it was I had a squeaky chair, which I didn't know about until I played back the videos. So I oiled my chair now. It doesn't make a horrible creaky noise. I was fairly happy with the bowl around where the joins happen now, so I'm just going over with a nice big knife there just to start tidying up some of the marks that I put in when I originally shaped it. I've sped it up a little bit here, obviously. I find the bigger the knife you can use for this sort of thing, the nicer finish you end up getting. Kind of using the edge of the blade is almost like a I don't know what you'd say, like a plane, I guess. And yes, I'm scraping there. I've not seen many people do that, but I tend to do that quite a bit just to get the final marks out. It is actually a carpentry thing. People, I've got a scraping tool here for doing cabinet scraping, so yeah, it's definitely a thing. Got your knife nice and sharp, you get a lovely finish. Takes all the little lumps and bumps out. Certainly reduces the amount of sanding you got to do as well. I once heard somebody say that the scraper blade is this. The sharpness of the scraper blade is the same as the grit sandpaper that you would use. So if you've got a really sharp knife, you're not going to even have be able to get down with a grit of sandpaper as fine as you would by using a scraper. Which kind of makes sense, really. That was some 800 sandpaper, just getting in there and getting the last little bits and pieces out. Just a really quick word there about sanding and using the knife afterwards. Obviously you lay down a little bit of grit from the sandpaper, so any knife you use back on there now will dull a little bit quicker. I tend to sharpen my knife a lot anyway, so it's fine. So this is a new tool I got recently. This is a Beaver Craft cranked gouge for doing bowls and things, like these little tight bowls. And yeah, definitely very pleased with it. It's you can see there it's got the crank on it, so you can get nice and deep into these bowls. I tend to use a gouge to, if I'm doing a deep bowl like this, I tend to use a gouge to get the depth and take most of the material out to start with, and then tidy up with a standard hook knife afterwards. So here I am tidying up with the hook knife, with some more hook knife I'm using here. Yeah, just taking out the groove really. Nice and steady, just keep going and eventually you end up with a nice bowl. You can actually use these for a little bit of scraping if there's a bit of a ding in there. You can usually scrape it out, like I was doing with the scraper earlier, straight knife. So this was the texturizing. This is the famous copper punches that I made. As I've been doing this, I've been doing Instagram and TikTok posts, and these have had quite a bit of interest. These little punches. I gather that they don't they're not made. I haven't really looked, to be honest, because I made these and never even thought of it. But yeah, I assumed that you could buy them, but I made these. I made a Thor's hammer back quite a while ago now, and some of the detail on there were just small little dimples. So I thought, what can I make to make those little dimples? And I had some copper nails knocking about. Copper's obviously not the strongest material in the world for using as a cutting edge, but obviously it makes making them a lot easier. And actually, just with a little strop every now and then, they seem to stay sharp enough to be able to put a good indentation, as you can see in working here. So yeah, I've had a couple of requests if I could make some more. So I've had a dig around. I think I've found a few more copper nails, so I might have a go at making some for people if they really want them. This took a lot longer on here than I thought it was going to. It's quite an area actually. I've done this in real time, so you can see how long it takes. The actual dimple in the bottom of the punch itself is a circle. I think you can probably see it on here better now. I'll sped this one up a bit. But it's actually a circle in there, so it does actually leave like almost a dome, which is quite nice. If you got to wiggle the thing around a fair bit to get the nice dome effect. But yeah, it works quite well. So there was two of these punches. One was a bigger one, which I used more up the foot itself, and then I went down to the smaller one as it came down these the root part, if you like, fingers. I don't know what to call them really. That one broke out a little bit there. I'll come back at that one later with a small chisel or something to tidy that up. Does happen occasionally. Oh, they are doing it now. Dentist chisel to the rescue. I did very lightly sand over this after I finished, just to take off any fluffy bits that came up, but it does leave quite a tidy finish actually. Don't need too much sanding over the top. So that was pretty much the carving done, and I mixed up this colour, matching it up to the picture that I had on the iPad, and yeah, got about painting it. So this speeds up in a minute, and I'll put a little bit of music over, and yeah, enjoy the painting. So this was the final result. I was quite pleased with it. Not overly convinced about the paint. It does make it look realistic though, I think. But I'm a bit of a purist with wood carving, and I kind of like the natural wood thing. But yeah, nice to do something different. Like I said, I was quite pleased with how it came out. Well, if you made it to the end, thank you very much for watching. I'm hoping to do 1 or 2 of these types of videos a week. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do. And if you like the video, please give it the thumbs up. See you next time.